Okay. Show me.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Dutch CC channel. Thank you very much for tuning in for a video on this radio, the Flysky Paladin radio, the PL18. This will be an informative video, I hope, for you. It'll be about model matching. What? Yeah, model matching. Yeah, so in case you don't know what model matching is, guess what? I'll explain it in this video. So I'll tell you what model matching is, why you want it. It's a feature of this radio and it's on by default. It is a very useful feature. See, it prevents you from having the settings for one model active for one airplane and then accidentally trying to fly a different airplane with those settings. And if you fly airplanes, you probably know that can be disastrous. Yeah, that can, for instance, result in having your ailerons reversed. Yeah, or your trims completely wrong. So that's what model matching helps you prevent. So that's very nice, right? It's a good feature and a lot of radios have that feature. And the second thing, after I've sold you on model matching, told you how useful it is, I'll tell you how to get rid of it. What? Yeah, that's the second part of this video. I'll first again tell you what model matching is and why you want it, and then I'll tell you how to get rid of it. See, for airplane flying, model matching is essential, very, very useful. For multi-rotor flying, however, it's inconvenient to say the least. And I'll show and tell you why. You'll instantly see why it's inconvenient. But after that, I'll tell you how to get rid of it in this radio. Might not be intuitive, so this should be informative to you. So let's get into it. So what on earth is model matching? Well, like I said before, model matching will prevent you from trying to fly airplane number 1 with the settings of airplane number 2. So model matching has nothing to do with models like this. Regrettably. No, it has to do with your model memory in the radio. See, if you have a radio like this, a computer radio, you'll have model memory. And let me see, select models. You can store an array of models in a radio like this. In this specific radio, 20, which isn't enough, I'd say. 20 isn't a whole lot. But, well, this is not a review of the radio, obviously. So, model matching will prevent you from, let me see, flying your train star. Model memory number 5 in my radio is a train star. And I could accidentally have my radio set to the Dart or the Nano Talon, like so, yay! I just flew my Nano Talon yesterday, Nano Talon. I forgot to switch my radio into the settings for my train star, and I'm gonna try to fly my train star. The radio or the radio system will actually prevent you from doing that. See, now that I have my radio set to that Nano Talon, it will actually not connect to the receiver in my train star. Again, models, select model. A different model in my radio is the train star over here, number 5. And again, I've got it set to the Nano Talon. With my setup like this, my radio will not connect to the receiver in my train star. I hope that makes sense. It's simply, it'll act as if it's not bound. It is bound, but because of the model matching, the radio says, no, the Nano Talon isn't connected to that receiver in the train star, and I won't work this way. The back and forth communication between the receiver and the radio will prevent you from flying your train star with the Nano Talon settings. Now again, that can be disastrous, right? The TrainStar I have has for instance flaps. Now those flaps won't work, and that's not, well, that's not disastrous, but again my elevator could work the other way around, my ailerons could work the other way around, maybe my rates or my trims or my exponential is completely different on one model from the next. So you definitely do not want your radio to be set to one model and then fly a different model. Right? So again, that's what model matching is for, and communication, this is a telemetry radio and all receivers for this radio are telemetry capable. When you boot your model up, the radio and receiver will do some communicating and they'll come to the conclusion that you don't have the correct model loaded in your transmitter. What will happen is first of all the lights on your receiver won't reflect what you want them to see, but you might not even be able to see that. You'll also hear that the ESC in your airplane won't boot up. You won't hear the beep beep beep. You'll always hear at the start when you've hooked up your battery. You won't hear that because your ESC won't initialize. So it'll be super duper clear that things simply don't work. Also your servos won't move if you move the sticks. It'll be super duper clear and nothing will work. Your model will definitely not take off with the wrong settings in your radio. So that's great, and this setting is on by default, which is also great. It's a safety thing, so that's very, very nice. Also at this point I should obviously state that this is not the only radio system that has model matching, not at all. A lot of radio systems have model matching. So yeah, just in case you didn't know what model matching is, you now do know what model matching is, and it also works 100%. I know from experience, I've been using this radio for a couple of months, works. Flawless. So, model matching in the Flysky Paladin PL18, a great feature, maybe even mandatory, especially with airplanes, helicopters, yeah, maybe even more so. Helicopters can be dangerous things. You definitely don't want to fly or try to fly your helicopter with the wrong settings. So, also for helicopters it's a great feature. However, by the way, also, I think it's fair to say that this radio is mostly aimed at airplane pilots and or helicopter pilots. So, when I show you my list of models over here, if you follow my channel, you know that Ripley 1, 2 and 3, those are multirotors, FPV quadcopters or drones, if you will. So I definitely also use this radio for FPV multirotors. And for airplanes it might not be super duper bad to only have 20 models, even though I do have 20 airplanes? Yeah, I do have 20 airplanes. So even if I'd only want to use this radio for airplanes, 20 model memories, but for multirotors it's even worse. A typical multirotor pilot will have quite a few multirotors, partly probably because they age faster than airplanes. Is it fair to say? Yeah. A quadcopter from last year is outdated. An airplane from last year is an airplane, basically. So again, for multirotor pilots it's typical to have quite a few multirotors, as I do as well. And in that case, only having 20 model memories, Apart from that, the settings for a multirotor are 9 times out of 10 the same. 100% the same. You'll always use the same switches. Your rates are most likely always 100%. There's no reversing between models. So again, all settings in your radio, all your radio settings for every multirotor you fly are the same. So there's no use for having 100, well, multiple entries for your multirotors in your model memory. Now, with that said, you might wonder, well, okay, so why do you actually have Ripley 1, 2 and 3 here? You could simply have Ripley and that's it. Yeah, I could, I'd like to, but model matching. Yeah, so if I switch to this model, Ripley number 1 of Ripley FPV, I can't connect to Ripley 2 and I can't connect to Ripley 3 either. So that's highly inconvenient because there's no use, there's no benefit to having multiple model memory entries for these quadcopters. The quadcopters themselves are identical, so definitely the settings in my radio are 100% identical. So again, there's no use to this. I could do with one setting for all, 100% all my multi-rotors. So again, this is not something you want for multi-rotors. It is, again, highly convenient or a good idea for airplanes to have model matching. For multi-rotors, not so much. So how do you get rid of it? Well, it's actually, it is pretty simple. You go to your RF setup. Then you probably have the PRM301, your internal model, selected. You click on that. This is not intuitive, by the way, but well, this is the way to do it. Then your RF standard. And here you can see that I have AF-HCS3 one-way selected. By default, it's set to two-way, and that's basically telemetry enabled. You need to disable telemetry. Yeah, now I hear some people at the back crying. Yeah, this is definitely not ideal, but this is the way to, well, get rid of model matching. So again, you basically disable your telemetry over here by selecting AF-HCS3 one-way, single-way communication. And if you have done that, you can now bind an endless number of models to that one model memory. If I switch to Ripley number 2, I haven't done this for all my Ripleys, as you'll see. RF setup, PRM, RF standard. As you can see, this one is still set to AF-HCS3 two-way, so with telemetry. So this model memory can only bind to that one multi-rotor, Ripley number 2, and none other. And also the other way around, my Ripley number 2 quadcopter can not be flown with any of the other entries. Not even this one. So yeah, that is, my friends, the way to get rid of model matching and enable you to use one model memory entry for all your multi-rotors, which is what you want. And I won't tell you this is ideal. This is not ideal because you'll lose telemetry. I personally bought a telemetry radio to have telemetry. Yeah, so this is definitely something Flysky will have to change, solve, and I can imagine that this is baked in deeply into their system. So, yeah, I hope they can solve this. It's the way to get rid of model memory this way isn't ideal. On the other hand, you will have your telemetry or your feedback in the OSD, right? In your FPV OSD. But still, again, I very much like to get audible feedback, RSSI low, things like that, or maybe your battery indication, flight time. No, flight time can be done, can still be done. But yeah, this is not ideal. Again, still, I hope this helps you out. If you want to get rid of model matching, this is the way to do it. And if you are left with questions, hit me up a comment down below. If at any point Flysky solves this or changes this, disable model matching and get telemetry working, then I'll let you know. I'll do an update video on this. For now, again, I hope this helps you out. Catch you on the next video. Bye bye.